1. Added words to
Exactly.
kalima.
Classic rhetorical
2.
technique.
Added words to azan.
Define,
3.
introduce the deviation.
Disrespecting companions.
Deviation he introduces
For
is severe.
Quran is
I mean, he
incomplete.
immediately
When you
pivots
listen to these
origin
innovations
story
of Shias,
frames the
the
entire
conclusion
sect as
should be
illegitimate
Shias
from day
are
one.
non-Muslims.
He claims that the roots of this division during the era of the Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet, were entirely manufactured.
Manufactured by a single figure, right?
Right. A man named Abdullah ibn Saba.
And this is a really pivotal moment in his narrative.
It is, because he posits that Abdullah ibn Saba was a Jewish man who intentionally disguised himself as a Muslim.
So according to this framework, this wasn't a natural theological divergence.
No, or even a sincere political disagreement. He frames it as a calculated act of sabotage.
Designed solely to cause division within the early Muslim community.
Right, to permanently fracture them from the inside.
If you think about the mechanics of that argument, it's brilliant but incredibly aggressive framing.
Oh, absolutely.
If you can define your opponent's origin as fundamentally malicious, like a contamination introduced by an outsider, it makes it exponentially easier to dismiss everything else they believe.
You see this ideological tactic constantly when dealing with deep historical rifts. Delegitimizing the seed is the fastest way to delegitimize the tree.
That's a great way to put it.
By anchoring the group's genesis to an infiltrator, the speaker is subtly telling his audience that they aren't dealing with misled brethren. They are dealing with the descendants of a deliberate ideological attack.
And that subversive framing perfectly sets the stage for his next major move. He addresses his audience, general mainstream Muslims, and points out what he views as a massive misconception they hold.
He argues that most people mistakenly reduce the Sunni-Shia divide to just a political dispute over who was the rightful caliph after the Prophet.
Was it Abu Bakr or was it Ali?
Right, just ancient politics.
Right.
But he rejects that reduction entirely.
His core thesis is that reducing this to politics is a fundamental misunderstanding of the stakes.
He wants his audience to realize that the divide is rooted in non-negotiable foundational Islamic beliefs.
And to prove this, he launches into what we could basically call a rigorous theological audit of their beliefs.
And he starts that audit right at the foundation, the kalima.
The declaration of faith.
Exactly. For his audience, reciting La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah is the ultimate self-sufficient pillar of entry into Islam.
But he asserts that this isn't enough for the groups he is critiquing. He claims they require a verbal addition.
Specifically, Ali Waliullah.
When you analyze why he highlights this specific addition, it becomes clear how he is building his case.
He isn't just saying they have different preferences, he's arguing they have altered the password to the faith itself.
Right. If the foundational entry requirement to a religion is fundamentally different, he is basically asking his audience, how can the two groups possibly be considered part of the same whole?
He strikes directly at the bedrock of Islamic identity to show an irreconcilable fracture.
It's a barrier to entry argument. If you change the foundational declaration, everything built on top of it is structurally distinct.
And he takes that structural argument even further when he addresses the holy text itself, the Quran.
This is where his audit moves from severe to absolute.
He claims that certain factions actually doubt the completeness of the 30-part Quran.
That they believe it has been distorted or parts have been hidden.
In the context of the worldview he is defending, textual preservation isn't just a priority, it is the absolute, unquestionable anchor of the religion.
So, by strictly applying the label of kafir, or disbeliever, to those who doubt the 30-part Quran, the speaker is weaponizing a foundational theological boundary.
He's arguing that if you cannot agree on the uncorrupted nature of the divine text, there is no shared reality to even have a conversation about.
He's drawing a hard, impenetrable line there.
Very hard.
And once he establishes that they supposedly doubt the text, it naturally follows in his argument that they would also reject the people who transmitted and lived alongside that text.
The Sahaba, the companions.
Right. The speaker claims that aside from the al-Bayt and a very small handful of allies, these groups consider almost all the Prophet's companions to be kafirs.
What is